You ever have that moment where you think you've been healing, you've changed a lot of your nervous system and your automatic responses, and then you talk to one of your family members and you forget everything in the moment that you've been trying to change, and you're just like, here's a whole trauma response. My friend was telling me a story today, and it just reminded me of these moments that I've had that are so incredibly human. They usually happen when I talk to my dad, and I usually talk to him about once a year around this time. And it's like, no matter how much work I've done with myself, I don't know who's going to show up on the phone with him. And sometimes I open my mouth and a wounded 5-year-old is there. And I just don't know what I'm saying. I don't know who I am. I have no moral center. And it's just like so fraught and embarrassing, some of these relationships. And I don't know if they'll ever get better. But at least now I know when I'm doing the trauma response. Because I used to be at the place of just like, why won't my dad change? Why won't he be my dad? And at the end of the day, it's like, I have to stop being that child that is holding him responsible for being my parent, because he quit having that responsibility when I turned 18. And now his only responsibility is to be a human in the world. And sometimes I interact with him. And we have a weird connection too, because there was no emotional connection made when I was a baby. And so I spent more time with him when I was like around 4 or 5, when enough of my brain had developed, where it's like, who's this person coming into my space trying to kiss me? And so we've always had that strange, awkward relationship where it's like, yeah, I know my dad and I talk to him. I've never known him as a person. I never made a close connection as a child. So there's always been like the hope for that. It reminds me of the idea of wanting to go home, that like if you never had a home, you want to return to somewhere that doesn't exist. It kind of feels like I want to return to a father that doesn't exist. And all of that is just like underneath our conversations. And we have very little in common. Sometimes I wonder if I would have had an easier time if I just did not know my father. But I appreciate that he continues to try. I don't think he's a bad person. I think he's a little bit immature, and I don't think he's interested in going to therapy or psychology or anything. And the other thing is, he has another daughter, which he treats like a daughter. He's never treated me like a daughter, and so it's kind of a weird dichotomy that we have. I got to have a really interesting karmic lesson in this life where I have one sister with one parent and one sister with the other parent. And nobody agrees, like, who our parents are. Like, both of my siblings had vastly different experiences with the parent that I share with them. And yeah, my relationship with my mom will always be easier. But isn't that just a human experience where you're just like, I forgot everything. Actually, here's a trauma response.